This is a brand new color craft laser. It is the xTool M2. So we are going to take an in-depth look at this, and I want to help you figure out if this might be right for your craft room. Hey, I'm Sarah, you're watching Creative Ramblings. We talk a lot about lasers on this channel. So if you are a laser maker or you're thinking about getting one, definitely hit that subscribe button. I know you'll find videos here that are helpful in your crafting journey. Today, we're taking a look at the brand new xTool M2. So in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of what this laser is. We're going to talk about what it can do. So what makes it a color craft laser? There's a couple things that do. I am going to show you a number of different projects using all of the modules that I have for it. Because this is a brand new laser, we're going to talk about what's available now, what is coming soon, and what's coming down the road. Then I want to talk to you about who I think this machine is for and what it could add to your craft room. So let's dive in. I want to give you a bit of an overview on how xTool creates and names their machines. This is the M2, so it is in the M series of machines. Way back when, they started with the M1, then they have an M1 Ultra, still available, and now the M2. These machines are lasers, but they always do more than just laser. They're really geared toward crafters and hobbyists that want to do it all. And these truly are all-in-one machines. So the original M1 had a laser and a blade cutter in it. The M1 Ultra kept that laser and blade cutter. And when I say blade, I mean like a Cricut, like it can cut all kinds of paper and vinyl, that kind of thing. So the M1 Ultra had the laser, the blade, and then a whole bunch of other stuff included with it, kind of these crafty type tools. The M2 is a bit of an upgrade from the M1 Ultra. It loses some of the stuff that the M1 Ultra had, but it also adds more. Still keeping in line with that traditional M series, where this is a great all-in-one craft machine. So let's talk about what's in here. This is the whole machine right here. Very compact, fairly lightweight, considering everything it can do. Inside here, we have a laser module. Mine is a 10-watt laser module. There is also a 20-watt. Both are diode lasers. We're going to talk a little bit more about what that can do. In addition to the laser, there is a printer. The printer is a little module that looks just like the laser. Super easy to swap out, so I can go from laser cutting to printing. This machine has a camera right up here, and it has another camera right here. So when we're working in the software, if I have a design I want to place on a piece of wood and then cut it out with my laser, that camera is going to help me position that design with incredible accuracy. The two cameras work together very nicely. I mentioned the M series of machines and how the M1 Ultra and the original M1 both had a blade cutter similar to a Cricut. That has been removed on this machine. So we're really working here with the laser and the printer. I have still been able to do quite a few paper crafts with those two, and we're gonna, again, talk about that in a little bit, but no blade cutter on this one. If you're familiar with the Ultra, a lot of those extras like the foiling tool have been, and the pen and the drawing, those have been removed in favor of a laser and a really good printer. Speaking of the printer, it is a CMYK printer module. The M1 Ultra had a CMY. That K, the letter K, stands for black. So now we have a much more vibrant and full range printer module on here. Just means you can get even better prints. The printer module is inside here, and it is replaceable. You can take it out when you need to and replace it. It's a 40 milliliter printer cartridge. You do need to get it from xTool. It is a proprietary module, but this is going to print quite a bit for you. So we've got a laser, we've got a printer. We have this metal base plate on the bottom where I can put my wood or my paper, whatever I'm cutting or printing. There are these little standoffs that help you raise up your material. Anytime you're cutting wood, you don't really want it to be just flat on your base plate. You want it to be up a little bit so there can be airflow around it. So these little standoffs that come with it can help you raise up your material. If you're familiar with other xTool lasers or any lasers, sometimes they might come with a riser, which allows you to lift this whole thing up, get the laser module kind of further off the base plate so you can work with taller objects. This laser does not have a riser, and it's not really compatible with a riser. I don't think that's something they're going to add down the road. So you have about an inch height to work with here. So if you're engraving something like a cutting board, you need to make sure it's about an inch, maybe even a little bit less, to be able to engrave or even to cut on. Anytime you're working with a laser, we are burning material, so we have some safety features built in. There is a fire sensor built into this, so if it detects a flame, there is a way for it to just shut down. On the very back, there is a vent with a hose that runs out. I have it hooked up to an air purifier right here, and then I also have a window right here, so you can vent it out a window or to an air purifier. But you do need some form of ventilation whenever you're using that laser. The other thing that I'm going to point out, where if this is your first laser, you'll just enjoy this, but if you have had a laser before, you'll understand how important this is. Back here, these are the hookups for, this is the USB cord and this is the power cord, and they plug into the side, not the back. That is just a huge deal when you're trying to find a cord. Most of my lasers are up against a wall, so that's a really nice touch. I really like that. So that's kind of an overview of what this machine is and the technical aspects of what it can do. But let me show you what this can do. So I think the question on everybody's mind is, what can I make with this Colorcraft laser? So we've got a 10-watt module in here. This is a diode laser. You are going to be able to cut and engrave all kinds of organic materials. This diode laser is going to be great for cutting and engraving wood, like basswood or cutting boards or ornaments, any kind of wood projects you want to make. It is excellent at working with any kind of paper products, but also leather, faux leather, cork, stone, even stainless steel and some metals you can get some markings on. So there is a ton you can do with the laser, and you can use this as just a laser if you aren't interested in the printer. A 10-watt is a decent power. I mentioned this also has a 20-watt module. The difference between a 10 and a 20 is obviously power. One is more powerful, but speed is what you're going to notice. So if I want to engrave a cork coaster, and just put a coffee cup on it. With the 10-watt diode and the recommended settings, this took about 6 minutes. If I use a 20-watt laser, it's not necessarily going to cut the time in half, but close to it. We're going to cut a couple minutes off that project. The other thing the 20-watt can do versus the 10-watt is it can cut thicker material. So again, you can only have about a 1-inch height in here when you're cutting. And if you have your wood on standoffs, that takes up a lot of that 1 inch. So a 20-watt can cut thicker material, but you can't necessarily put very thick material in here. So I have made coasters with cork and with slate. I have engraved leather or faux leather hat patches and other things. I have engraved stainless steel. Now, technically you're marking stainless steel, not engraving it, but you can get a really good look on kind of a brushed stainless steel. Cutting and engraving wood is very easy to do, especially if you're working with a thin basswood or plywood. You can also work with some acrylic. Acrylic is a very hard plastic that looks great on decorative items, jewelry, signs, ornaments. A diode laser is not ideal for working with acrylic. So acrylic comes in anything from clear to glitter to textured to pattern to solid colors. If you only want to work with acrylic, you're going to need a CO2 laser. But with a 10-watt diode, we can work with cast acrylic that is darker colored and opaque. So I was able to just cut a simple heart out of red cast acrylic. However, it does take a little longer than a CO2 laser, and the cuts are not perfectly clean. You do get kind of an edge that is a little rough, sometimes a little melted. But for smaller projects, you can absolutely work with that cast opaque acrylic. So now let's talk about what really sets this apart, and that is this printer module. So again, these switch out really easily. There's just magnets on the back and then these little inserts right here for both the laser and the printer. There's a little cord that attaches on the side. So I can easily do this one-handed. There are no screws, there are no levers. It's just pull it out and put the other one in. Seriously easy. That allows you to do print and cut projects. So I can put a piece of wood in here, I can print on the wood, switch out the modules, and then cut it with the laser. The software, which is xTool Studio, it's a free software, it powers everything xTool makes. It is very easy to use, and if I select print, then cut, I can set that all up in the software and it just tells me what to do. It tells me to put the printer module in first, followed by the laser module. So you can print and cut on all kinds of materials. I have done it mostly on wood, paper, and sticker paper, but you could probably do it on leather. You could do it on anything that a laser can cut. So when working with wood, I use the standoffs because I wanted to raise it up a little bit and get it off that base plate. When working with paper or sticker paper, anything thin, you want to put it on the base plate and use some masking tape to tape it down. Then we're going to print and cut it out. Stickers are kind of the same way. Make sure you're using paper stickers and not a vinyl or anything with PVC in it. A laser should not ever touch anything with PVC in it. It creates toxic fumes. It is not good for you or the environment. You have to stay away from that. So we're looking for just paper to cut. And xTool is going to have some materials for us to use that are going to be compatible with this. So one thing I do want to mention, and this does not bother me, but I know some people might want to know this. When we're cutting, and you're cutting a piece of paper that is taped down to the bottom, it is going to leave a mark on your base plate. That happens with every laser, no matter what. Some lasers that have a honeycomb or slats that raise everything up, you don't get as much marking on the base, but I have all kinds of marking on my base, and that's just the way it's going to be. It's a laser, it gets used. It's not gonna look brand new if I'm using it. What I do recommend is when you're done with a project, go in there with some denatured alcohol, or I like to use LA's Totally Awesome, and just wipe down your base plate. You wanna remove the residue, especially if you're going from cutting a piece of wood to printing on a piece of paper. You don't want that residue from the wood to get on your paper. If you are looking at the M2 or you have the M2 as your first laser, there's a couple things I want you to know that are gonna make this easy. First of all, that swapping between laser heads and printer head is really, really easy. That's wonderful. xTool Studio is very easy to use, and over the years they have added even more. So there is something called auto mode in the software, and I think I will dive into this deeper in a dedicated software video, but if you turn on auto mode, there's a tutorial in there that you can do. It kind of takes any of the guesswork out of this. You don't have to do much and you really can't mess it up. The other thing xTool has added is a community hub called Atom. There are a ton of projects in here that you can use as a starting point to kind of get familiar and learn how to use this. So within xTool Studio, check out auto mode and then check out Atom as well. So let's talk about accessories and modules and kind of what you can get to go with the M2. So first of all, when you get this, it comes in one box. You are going to get the machine, you are going to get a hose that vents out, you are going to get a power cord and a USB cord to hook it up to your computer. You need to hook it up to your computer first, then turn on Wi-Fi, and then you can use it from anywhere in your area. You're going to get the laser module, whether that's a 10 watt or a 20 watt, you can choose. In my box, when I got maybe 4 pieces of material to kind of play with. So I got some cardstock, I got a piece of wood, and I got a little manual. I have heard that now when this is just brand new, this is just releasing, some people get different stuff than I did. So I can't guarantee what you're gonna get, but you are gonna get a few test pieces of material. As a crafter, I have a ton of cardstock and other stuff around, so I have been able to play around with that. So let's talk about the things that come with this that are extra. That printer module is extra. So if you want this to just be a laser, that is all you are using it for, that's what you're going to get. There is a bundle where you can add on the printer module. There is also an IR module. IR stands for infrared. It is 3 watts. This module is a laser, so it's a laser like what's in here. It doesn't cut anything. It is for engraving only, and it is specifically for metals and plastic. So you can engrave on all types of metals and like an earbud case or any kind of small and plasticky without creating these fumes. If you like to personalize jewelry or smaller items, that IR module might be a good add-on for you. There is also a rotary accessory. So this allows us to engrave tumblers. I've decided I'm going to do a dedicated video on that because I think it deserves its own video. This is a very small laser, and it has the ability to do tumblers inside of it without a riser. That is amazing. I love that feature. We're going to do a dedicated video, and we're going to talk about how that all works. When you're using a laser, you need to vent. So we need to take that hose and put it out the window here. There is a fan in here that's going to help push some of that air out and some of that smoke out. The other option is to hook it up to something like the AP2. This is a pretty advanced filter from xTool that does not need to be vented outside. So if you're in an area where you cannot vent outside, you can take that hose, put it right into your AP2, and it's going to filter all the fumes out. There are also other air purifiers where I could take the vent, put it into an air purifier, it cleans the air, and then it still goes out a window. Those are a little less expensive. It's nice if you've got very close neighbors and you don't want to put all the smoke out there into their yard. Another accessory that I do believe is coming is a honeycomb base for this. When you're using a laser, whenever I'm using a laser, I always like to have my stuff off the base plate. This is going to come with those 4 magnetic standoffs. They're kind of flimsy. They're not great. I would really, really love to have a honeycomb or some kind of slats to raise up my wood and other materials that I'm cutting. So I've heard that the honeycomb base is coming as an accessory. I do not have a timeline on that yet. I don't have a firm timeline on the IR module either. Another thing that I've heard that I have no confirmation whether or not it's true is that there could be an even more powerful laser module for this, like potentially a 40 watt. I don't have confirmation on that, so just be careful what you hear. There are a lot of rumors out there, and try to look to xTool for what their official statements are on these things before you get too excited about them. So I want to tell you who I think the M2 is for. I think this is a phenomenal craft laser. If you are a crafter, if you own a Cricut, a Silhouette, a Caesar, something that cuts and engraves and foils all kinds of things, this might be a really good add-on to your craft room. It's going to allow you to personalize even more projects. I think it's a great starter laser because it's very easy to use. So not only is the software easy to use and Atom, but this machine itself is just very straightforward. There's not a lot of confusion. When you open the box, you scan a QR code, it tells you how to get started. I was up and running in no time with this. So I want to give you a full, honest review on this machine. So here's some things that I have noticed after a little over a week of using this on everything I possibly could. It's a great 10 watt laser. I have a number of 10 watt lasers. It does exactly what it says it can do. It can cut, it can engrave. Love that, there's nothing wrong with it. Switching out the laser module to the printer module is the easiest of any xTool out there. I love it. I hope that every machine going forward can switch out that easily. The printer does a great job of printing. I haven't had any issues. It has a little moisturizing sponge that it goes back to. My ink hasn't dried up. It prints quite a bit and it prints well. You are able to adjust the concentration of the ink as it comes out. So you might have a little bit different concentration for a white sticker paper versus a kind of tan colored wood. It's nice. It works. I love it. Print, then cut. In theory, that is a great idea. So I can print on a piece of wood and I can cut it out. On wood, I really like it. On leather, I really like it. Something like cork or some other organic material to print and cut on, it works really nicely because you can't do that with a Cricut. You could do that with sublimation, maybe DTF, but in a machine like this, there isn't something else that does that. So I really like that. Print, then cut on paper and all kinds of paper materials, including stickers. I was a little let down by. Now, that could be because I haven't honed in all of my settings yet, and I do commit to continue to working on that. The experience I've had right now is that we tape a piece of cardstock down to the base plate, put it in there with masking tape, print the design, switch it out with the laser, and then go in and cut that paper with a laser. The actual process of doing it, the software, the switching out the heads, super easy and actually very, very fast. The issue I'm having is I have not honed in my settings enough that when I pull that piece of paper out, I have clean edges. I'm gonna get a little bit of soot, a little bit of char every time on the sides. I've gotten it down to settings where I'm not getting char or soot on the back. That does include cleaning this really well and also sometimes putting a piece of wood underneath it, but I'm still getting that little bit of soot on the sides. When I do stickers, it's kind of the same way. I'm still working on honing in my settings for stickers so I can get a good kiss cut or a good die cut. Typically, xTool is going to provide you with the perfect settings for every material, but because this is so new, we don't have all of those just yet. So there's a lot of trial and error on my part, and when I get them just right, I'm absolutely going to share them with you. But as you saw when I showed you the stickers, they're not pulling off quite right just yet, so I got to work on that. The speed of print and cut and the ease of this, I love. It's fantastic. I'm just not loving the results yet, but we're going to keep working on that, and I will share more videos when I get those settings just right so that you can go replicate them. Today I wanted to start with a really good overview of what the xTool M2 is and help you figure out if this might be a good addition to your craft room. There are going to be more videos from me. We are going to do a software walkthrough with a beginner project. So I'm going to walk you through start to finish how to do something for the first time. I'm also going to go through things you can do in Atom and how that auto mode works in the software. I promise you xTool Studio is easy, but anytime we get into a new software, it can be a little intimidating. So I'm going to walk you through that. I also have a video coming on the rotary so you can see how to engrave tumblers. And I'm going to keep playing around with paper and stickers, and I will have a full sticker video for you very soon. Right now, if you have any comments or questions on this machine, please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to chat with you. I do have a link to the xTool M2, the different bundles and deals going on. Those are all down in the description. So if you want to go see what your bundle price would be or how you can get into this machine, take a look at that link. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I'm here every week with new videos helping you move forward in your creative journey. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.